I promise this isn't going to be some cheesy video on the basic benefits of ginger. I wanted to do something a little bit different. And in the world of a low-carb diet or just a high-fat diet in general, ginger has a plethora of benefits. Now, I've been a fan of ginger for a long time, but I think it's due time that I have a video that specifically talks about the benefits of ginger for a lower carb protocol, like why it's doing certain things, why you should be adding ginger as much as you can throughout the day, cooking with it, adding it to your water, whatever. All right, so let's just cut right to the chase. Please hit that red subscribe button and then hit that little bell icon to turn on notifications. Okay, the first thing. So the low carb or a keto diet or anything like that, it's all about keeping blood sugar stable. Okay, issues with keto arise when blood sugar is bouncing around. Okay, it's blood sugar gets high, ketone levels get low, then you start losing the benefits, you don't feel as good, and you're just all over the place. Okay, so with a ketogenic diet, we want blood sugar stable. When we have ginger in the mix, it's very, very powerful at modulating blood sugar in a really interesting way. In fact, there was a study that was published, took a look at 41 participants that were type 2 diabetics, okay, and they gave them either placebo or they gave them ginger. They wanted to measure this for a period of weeks and see what would happen. They found that the group that had the ginger had a significant reduction in blood sugar and A1C, whereas the group that received placebo had no change in blood sugar and actually saw an increase in A1C overall. Okay, well that's interesting science, but why is this happening? It's simply because glucose promotes the uptake of glucose into the cells properly. So what that means, if you're on a ketogenic diet, it can take the glucose that would be floating around your bloodstream, causing havoc and making it so ketones aren't produced, and letting it go into the cells that do need it. Because newsflash, cells within your brain still require glucose. The cells in your body can run on those ketones and run on stuff on a low-carb diet, but the cells in our brain still need glucose. So what that means is now the ginger makes it so that the glucose can actually get into the brain where it needs to go, which means not only are you going to lower your blood sugar, but you're going to feel cognitively better because the cells that need the sugar are going to get the sugar, okay? So that's just benefit one. Benefit number two, and this is great if you have trouble digesting fats or perhaps if you have no gallbladder or a gallbladder issue, ginger has been proven to improve bile levels. So basically it improves fat digestion by helping out bile secretion. So the Journal of Ethnopharmacology published a study and they found that literally consuming ginger, because of the acetone byproducts of ginger in our body, allowed more bile to be produced. Now at first they thought that it just increased the ejection of the bile from the gallbladder. But upon further research with other studies, it's been found that it looks like the ginger itself, or the acetone byproducts of ginger once metabolized, just stimulate the production of bile. So this is really, really good news because there's people out there that don't have gallbladders. So if we just improved the ejection of the bile from the gallbladder, then there would be a problem. But bile is made in the liver. So if ginger is actually just improving the bile secretion because it's stimulating production, that's what we want. So it's now going to help you actually metabolize more fat and hopefully burn more fat. Then we have the fat loss side of things. There's a lot of nonsense out there where people talk about ginger and how it's going to stimulate fat loss in these really random ways. The fact is, the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry published a study that found that the 6-Shogal and 6-Gingerol, which are components of ginger, activate what's called the PPAR delta pathway within the body. This is a whole genetic craziness thing, but basically what's going on is it activates specific gene pathways and gene expression that triggers what is called uncoupling proteins to activate. This is a fancy jargon way of saying it creates more body heat from our fat. So it takes our fat and it allows our fat to basically upregulate certain proteins that now burn energy in order to generate heat. This is a really cool thing. So that means just consuming some ginger is going to increase your body's just natural ability to burn fat at rest and therefore mobilize more fats. This PPAR pathway is actually really, really cool stuff. And just as a quick side note, you don't have to eat ginger all the time. I did put a link down below. You can check out the Ginger People. They have a really cool ginger juice that doesn't, like no sugar or anything. It's literally just concentrated ginger juice. I discovered it when we were using it cooking some Asian style food, but then I realized that I could take a tablespoon of that or two and just put it in water. It's super easy, and I don't know, it's a quick, easy way to get ginger on keto. So I put a link down to their Amazon page down below. So nothing crazy, just check them out on Amazon. All right, now let's talk about some interesting stuff surrounding nausea and the keto flu. If you're going into keto and you're dealing with just that nauseous feeling of transitioning into keto, you probably are dealing with the keto flu. Well, there's lots of ways that you can combat that, electrolytes and this and that, but one of the ways that you can directly at least stop the nausea is by consuming a little bit of ginger. Now, this is common knowledge. In fact, it's kind of been used as a morning sickness remedy for a long time. But the way that it works is it stops kind of the signaling of the vagus nerve. So that vagus nerve, it's a good and bad thing, right? It sends signals from the gut up to the brain, but it can also send those signals that make us nauseous. So if you think about ginger and how powerful it is, in a way, it sort of desensitizes. It's so potent that it desensitizes that vagus nerve for a little bit, so it stops sending a crazy signal to the brain, causing you to ultimately feel nauseous. So that's just a quick little hack there. And that's why I like to sip on it all the time anyway. It just helps my stomach feel good, and also seems to create a feeling of satiety, probably because it's calming that activity of the vagus nerve. And this last little bit is simply for those that are using keto for fertility. And I know this is a super small segment of people, but the people that are using keto or low carb diets to improve fertility are going to find a lot of value in this. So the Tikrit Medical Journal published a study that found that ginger has powerful DNA protecting properties that really do increase the amount of sperm that is released, right? So basically there was a 16% increase in sperm production in individuals that were just consuming a little bit of ginger per day. Okay, the reason that it does this is because the ginger has these DNA protecting mechanisms where it's actually stopping what's called DNA fragmentation of the sperm. So it's making it so that the sperm can actually just survive and not have its own DNA disrupted. And I know this is random, but there's interesting science backing it up, and there is a good subset of people that have used the ketogenic diet for fertility reasons, men and women. So it's worth throwing in there. So anyhow, don't forget the ginger. Add it to your food, add it to your drinks. It's certainly not going to hurt anything, and it tastes pretty darn good, and it makes it so you're not craving other foods. As always, keep it locked in here on my channel. We'll see you soon.